Fabio Grosso can put this penalty away, then the Azzurri will win the World Cup. Italy are champions of the world.
To Fabregas, surely now, Spain have won the World Cup for the first time in history. It is France. Allez les Bleus. All rise. The Deschamps double is complete.
What's going on? Welcome back to the Footy Fans Podcast. This is our World Cup 2022 Qatar preview episode. We're also going to do our little analysis of the FIFA Uncovered documentary on Netflix, which just came out last week. Perfect timing, if you ask me, just before the World Cup. Kind of funny how that happens. But Andrew, Santo, and Joe are here, and we are joined again by special guest Phil Bonadonna for his World Cup analysis and World Cup preview knowledge. I think we should just get right into it. I think only half of the squad here watched the entire thing of the documentary. 4-part series on Netflix, put together by Netflix. They do a hell of a job with their whole documentaries and, conspiracy specials. And I mean, they barred no expense on this. They literally got everyone involved in the conspiracy from the last 40 years, whatever it is, to be interviewed, which was kind of nuts. Like the biggest names that you would think of, they're all behind the scenes guys that not everyone would know about. I mean, I learned a lot from the documentary. I'm kind of from how FIFA began and how they became established in the early 20s or whatever it was to what they are now. But yeah, they got everyone involved from the 70s, 80s, 90s up until the mid 2000s when it really took off, and the FBI got involved, for Pete's sake. So we'll get into our little analysis and reaction from that documentary. I think one of the biggest takeaways was that Sepp Blatter is just an absolute psychopath or sociopath. Is that what we said?
Well, it was just strange for me how that he was even in Netflix. I was really surprised when they would have someone talking that was in the situation, and all of a sudden they start talking in the background, and then they are in front of the camera today, talk about what happened. But yeah, Sepp Blatter, very interesting character, I think, and granted he's 86 now, but had a lot of things happen while he was in control of FIFA.
Yeah, he, like you said, is very interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say what actually happened. But yeah, just very, like you said, it's very interesting how it's and what I'm confused about, they had so much footage. Who to me it's who was walking around FIFA filming just these guys all the time. It's I guess, I don't know, I guess I can't camera people at FIFA a lot, but that was also interesting. It's they're just filming them when they were on vacation.
I've actually always thought that because it's got to be hard to make documentaries. There's so much footage you have to go through. It's taking me hours before to edit an hour-long podcast or an hour-long video podcast. It's you guys are accumulating thousands and thousands of hours of footage that you have to piece together for 8-second clips of a guy walking into a building. It's how do they have that?
Why do you have so much footage of everyone that you're talking about just walking around?
It's Sepp Blatter in a lobby.
What? Cool.
How do you get that?
I was thinking about that because I remember it was one where Sepp Blatter was walking around the table shaking hands with people, and someone's filming. I'm wait, why are they filming this?
It's a private board.
Yeah, it's why are they filming this? It's 15 years ago. I'm so confused.
Yeah, it's obviously way before the phone cameras and whatever. Someone probably had a fucking camcorder or an over the shoulder
yeah, they're just filming everything.
Camera from the 90s.
Very interesting, I thought. Which I don't know. I guess they have it. So yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of characters that get put into the documentary. A lot of guys that have a lot of airtime. One of them being Jack Warner, the former CONCACAF president. That kind of hits home to us here in Canada. Obviously he was running the show when we were younger. I guess we were really involved in soccer. I don't know anything about the guy. Obviously he's really behind the scenes, and we were 10 when this was all happening, or 15 years old. But to see that CONCACAF played such a large role in FIFA, not knowing really up until this documentary, it's kind of interesting. It's because similar to I don't want to get like too political, but similar to like the Electoral College with the American voting, like each state in the U.S. has X amount of votes that go towards the presidential election. So like states like California, Texas, New York, the big ones, big populations, they get more votes towards the presidency. So if you win California, you get 28 votes or whatever it is, as opposed to just like 1 or 2. Same kind of thing when it comes to FIFA for the presidency. CONCACAF has all the islands as their own individual like states that get votes. So if you're a CONCACAF president like Jack Warner, you're basically overseeing 20 whatever votes that would go towards the FIFA president.
Yeah.
So if you're running for FIFA presidency, you have to be in good ties with CONCACAF because you're going to get all those votes going towards you.
Yeah.
Obviously, Sepp Blatter being from Switzerland, he had a lot of the European votes already in his back pocket. He had to really try to get the Africa votes, which we see later on in the series, like how he really gets those votes. But similar to getting the Jack Warner votes, he slips a little bit of money here and there. Jack Warner wants to have the World Cup take place in Africa in 2010. This is back in 1998 when Sepp Blatter was first running for presidency. Jack Warner gets some money from the Africans to get the votes from them to go Blatter's way. Same thing for Russia in 2018. Same thing for Qatar in 2022. A lot of money being tossed around. It's very much a House of Cards-esque documentary that gets put together. It's very much behind the scenes, seeing how bribes work, seeing how backdoor handshakes work and all this kind of stuff. How people try and whip the votes together for X country, for X president, for X candidate, whatever it is. And the in-depthness, if that's a word, that this documentary went into was just really cool because there was just so much that I didn't know about. Yeah, everyone kind of knew that FIFA was corrupt. You just hear, FIFA's got money coming out their ass. FIFA's buying this World Cup, whatever. But to actually see it played out the way it was in this 4-part documentary series was really cool.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Again, like I said, they got everyone involved to get in front of a camera and in front of a microphone. And I feel like a lot of these people were really willing to be like they're really willing to come forward and actually talk to because of how much crap FIFA has and like how much has been going on. They want to get their story out of like what actually happened. Kind of similar to like what Ronaldo was doing with like Man U. A lot of stuff's being said, but nothing like actually clear cut and specific. So these guys get their moment to shine in front of the camera. They come out and say what actually was happening to set the story straight. Maybe try and clear their name on the side as well and try and maybe avoid some jail time or whatever it is. I don't know. But it was just really cool to see. And yeah, I think one of the biggest takeaways, like I said, was like how involved a lot of these really high executives were in decision making, World Cups being chosen, like everything.
Yeah. For me, I guess I wasn't surprised, but it was more eye-opening to realize how it's almost the same as it basically is the same as politics when you're going for votes for the presidency, where you have all these different soccer confederations voting for the FIFA presidency. So it's just being in good ties with them. Like you said, so that was really interesting to kind of get full information on. But yeah, it was just crazy to see how much influence and power they actually have over what happens and who gets the World Cups and how they do that. So that was really interesting.
But also Sepp Blatter coming out last week saying it was a mistake.
Yeah,
that the World Cup was going to Qatar. It's just come on.
Well, the weird thing that they did was, I think it was the first time in World Cup's history that when the World Cup committee got together in 2010 to decide who was going to host the next World Cup in 2018, that's the one that was up next. It was actually chosen to be Russia. They decided to also do the 2022 World Cup in the same year, which has never been done before.
That was strange.
Yeah.
So you had, again, like, to go back to back of like Russia to Qatar is just what are you doing? Like obviously in 2010 Russia was in a different state politically, or maybe not politically, but in the viewpoint of the media, they're in a very different state from 2010 to what they are in 2020, 2022.
Yeah.
Obviously with everything going on right now in Ukraine, if this was the same time frame, this would not be happening.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason why Russia isn't involved in the World Cup currently. Even if they would have qualified, they weren't being allowed to participate in 2022 Qatar. So the fact that it was put forth that they would be the winners for 2018 and then Qatar in 2022. Obviously, money was being involved in those decisions. Obviously, a lot of, like I said, like backdoor handshakes were being done, bribes were being done. People wanted to, it's all money. Like, it's just these guys are so money hungry and power hungry. And you look at it from the outset, like these guys are just like middle-aged to like later middle-aged men who have like rose the ranks of, high class in the FIFA world, and they're just so money and power hungry, and it's crazy to see. Because like we've seen it in the corporate world before. Like Donald Trump's an obviously like huge example of like what we see on a day-to-day basis. These guys are basically doing the same thing but behind the scenes, controlling a multi-billion-dollar corporation as well. It's just all about money transfers, and like they got it all on file. They got wire transfers, they got paper transactions. I said the FBI got involved to like put them to bed basically.
Because I know the one guy was saying, it's like, we're here, wire fraud, racketeering, money laundering, and the one guy's like, this is stuff you associate with like the Mexican cartel or the mob.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. It's one of those things. I don't know if they said in the documentary, but like because it's FIFA, they're not like governed. I don't think they're governed. So they're not.
It's the wild, wild west.
They're not they're not accountable really to anyone. This is because back in the day, I think it was saying in the documentary how it was like a non-profit organization way back when. It was just like those guys that got together and they held the tournament every so often, and that was really it. But then it just kind of turned into this whole thing, which, like you said, it got like very political, and obviously they found people who were doing these things, which I think it's interesting that, because I honestly don't even remember in 2015 like this coming out, like all these arrests happening. But like you said, Netflix is great with timing. I'm not sure how long they spent on this documentary, but the fact that it's coming out like probably a really long time. The fact that it's coming out now is just like impeccable timing, like right before the Qatar World Cup. So yeah, it's very, very interesting.
And I think from the documentary, we kind of see Blatter was hesitant to have Qatar be the winners for 2022. I'm not sure if that's the one he actually wanted, but I think so, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you haven't seen that part yet. Phil's giving me like a head shake or something, but like he only saw half the.
Well, because I know there was I think it was the one scene where where Sepp Blatter pulled out Qatar's hosting, and one of the guys said he went to Blatter. He's like, we're in trouble, and then he was like, oh, yeah, we're in trouble, Sepp, and he's like, boom, or something like that.
Oh yeah, they did like fake smiles and all that kind of thing. Like, let's just pretend to be happy.
Yeah. So I don't like, and that's why, because like I know you like. It says in the documentary you have here, like Sepp wasn't charged with anything. So it's who knows how much he was actually involved, but yeah, it's just very, very strange. All that, all those, because obviously there was like people there, and I know Phil alluded to it, that like had no idea this was going on. Probably, it was obviously just a handful of people that got arrested with all this stuff.
Yeah, it was like the top of the top brass. Like
I think
they were obviously something like this you want to keep close to heart. Like you don't want to be like exploiting or anything, or you want to be like flashing all your cash and saying, "Oh yeah, I got this money from Sepp. Like he gave me all this money to host the World Cup." Like that obviously doesn't happen. But the fact that I think the U.S. wanted the 2018 bid or 2022 bid?
22.
So yeah, U.S. wanted 2022. England wanted 2018. And the fact that they both went to Russia and Qatar, right? That just kind of, again, like shows you exactly what it is. Like, what better nations to host a World Cup than England, like the birthplace basically of football, like the modern football, and then America was like the fastest growing, probably, maybe not sport in America, but like the huge sport right now. Like it's massive, and they have the infrastructure already there. England obviously has all the stadiums already there. Russia had to do a lot of maintenance. Qatar had to basically build an entire fleet of stadiums and infrastructure and everything behind it. What was the total money you said that was costing them? Was it 200 something?
Yeah, that's I watched TIFO today. My boss sent to me that I think it's going to cost them 220 billion or something like that. Don't quote me on that. I'm not like, who knows how much it's actually going to cost. So, and yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's not like oh, Russia and Qatar versus England, USA. It's just more like a logistical thing. I feel like like it's so much work to to like build all these FIFA regulated stadiums, whereas you have a country they have all the roads, they have the accommodations, like all this stuff Qatar to build. And because when did they win it? I think it was like 2010. So they had 12 years to build all of it, but it's just like so much stuff, and it's like so much, like it's a lot of money that you have to use to build all these stadiums.
And it's similar to what we saw with South Africa too. Like they built all these stadiums and they renovated all these stadiums to make them so big and so FIFA regulated and FIFA official. And now they're like ghost town cities.
Yeah, no, they're just
Same
like
with
sitting
Brazil.
there.
Same with Brazil. Like what's gonna happen?
The Amazon.
Exactly. That's not a host stadium.
Who's going there? They needed to get there. It was hard enough to get there.
And the guy
during a World Cup year.
And I don't think a Brazilian team like has it as their home field. It could just be like a Wembley, where it's just like a generic
but that's
stadium.
Just going to waste. A state of the art stadium. Played 4 games, and then it just kind of goes away. And the same with the Olympic stadiums in Sochi and in Brazil as well. A lot of that infrastructure is just kind of rotting but then it's like in Qatar, what's going to happen with these stadiums? I know one stadium they built with like
the transport
so like they can basically like take it all down.
The shipping containers.
The shipping containers, they can all be moved to another location, which I guess is kind of cool, but it'll be interesting to see what happens because you can't play there in summer months.
Yeah.
So when are events going to take place? I don't know if you're going to do another World Cup there in the next
most likely not
20, 30 years. So just what's going to happen to those stadiums? Because imagine playing outside in 120 degrees.
Well, they're probably used to it over there, though. Like
I guess.
But
But
if they want to host
even now it's
international.
warm. It's like 40 degrees there. So I don't know. I actually, one cool thing about the documentary was the like revamped footage and high def footage of the old World Cups.
That was
I'm
pretty
like,
cool.
this looks new, but that was from '82.
When Italy
So
won in
like
Spain
the
82.
restored videos, that was pretty cool. Because at the start, I'm like, wait, is this like a fake new video? It's like, oh my god, no, that's actually real footage of the games.
That's Maradona. Like
like
that was
the hand of
Maradona.
God.
And that was Baggio launching it over the net.
Of course, and they they just Baggio standing, he hasn't moved from the penalty spot, and like we watch
it
of all
together.
the games, that's the one that you had to pick.
Yeah,
the three of us watched it
And
together. Like,
they
of course
don't
put that
show
on
the
there.
2006
They,
triumph.
they showed kind of our raising the
did
title.
they? Okay, I missed that. Okay,
I saw
in the
that
first
one part.
episode though, they skip. They did like 94, 98, 2010. I'm like, also they skipped 2002.
Arguably the greatest World Cup, not just because Italy won, but like
I think the whole
Germany-
thing, like
Germany put
just
on a
the
show.
scenes and the fan
Yeah.
zones, and
because it was a European World Cup. Like
everything was just like I guess Brazil would have been pretty cool too, like the fan zones and things like that.
but I mean, like
I think everything,
Europe-
everything was there in Germany, and like
Yeah.
beautiful stadiums, and like attendance was up, and great product on the field. Like there were so many stars in that tournament. It's actually impressive. I know most World Cups have
the star,
big
but it was
stars,
like the stars like at the end, like the legendary stars at
and
the
then
end
Ronaldo
of their time.
and Messi coming up.
Yeah, it was like a passing of the guard kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like that World Cup, it was nuts, man.
We should do a review on that.
yeah.
You got a weekend?
You know how
got
many
a weekend
times-
set
I
aside?
would review that tournament in a second.
On cable TV, I don't know how many times I see just a replay of
TLN.
France
Oh,
and
which one?
and Italy.
Yeah.
just that game, but it's
Yeah.
like the cameras just like in the game, just showing it, and they're talking
awesome.
through in comments to it. I see it all the
Yeah,
time.
the TLN, they like to play the one that Pierce Brosnan narrated, the DVD that
Oh,
came
yeah.
out, the official video. TLN plays that
The whole
like, every 3 months.
Remember the Nedved one?
Yeah. But
That's so funny.
yeah,
that's
it's
nostalgia
just-
for us.
It's things that I guess not a majority of the people knew, but if you were following the sport, you kind of had an idea that this was happening, and then it just goes more in depth than I even thought it would. Like the '98 election, and I think it was the Italian member when they were like the night before at the hotel, and the interviewer goes, "Was there money being exchanged at this hotel?"
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah, for
lots
sure.
of it."
yeah,
But
of
we
course.
couldn't. But we couldn't say that. Couldn't say that back then. And that basically swung. That was what swung the vote. So it's kind of cool to see, like just the details and who was involved. Like we saw Jack Warner all the time on, like when ESPN would do their E60s. I don't know if they were called that back then, but when they would do their investigative journalism, you'd see him and Chuck Blazer and all them involved because it was CONCACAF. But just pretty cool to get this much detail and the actual history of it all.
Yeah, that's a good way to kind of wrap it up because, like, again, like we knew this was happening, and again, it was kind of just more of in passing. You would hear, "Oh yeah, FIFA's corrupt." Like there's just a common knowledge. You wouldn't even know anything about FIFA specifically or anything that happened specifically. You just know, yeah, FIFA's corrupt.
And we were 18 at the time.
Yeah,
in
we were
2010.
young.
We were like in high school, and we're like, I think, like, how? Like, is there corruption going on? I'm like, I wasn't the smartest, but it was just like, there's got to be something
because we were so
more to
because
it.
we
We
were
were so
pure.
locked in on it.
Because
and
we were 18
we just
and we
had
were
no
pure.
idea. Like, that can't happen. They can't do that.
FIFA's too legit.
Yeah, like, how did it get to Qatar? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. But now, like, then you just get older and you start seeing everything. It's like, okay, makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, technically, because people say FIFA was correct, but I guess in their investigation, well, it's not really going to spoil it for you, but I guess they concluded at the in the investigation that FIFA was like a victim of the members that were corrupt in FIFA that were doing all these things that were charged with this, which I thought was interesting. Which I'm not sure exactly how it works, but maybe it makes sense that you can't like say all of FIFA is corrupt. I'm sure there's people who work at FIFA that, like, no idea this was going on.
There's like a couple of bad eggs they were saying.
Yeah,
were, like
that,
made the
Yeah.
FIFA brand seem corrupt, but it was just them doing it. Like,
Yeah.
which is like you're responsible for them. Though.
Well,
Like, you're-
well, they asked Sepp Blatter at the end. It's like, are you like as the head of the organization with these members? Like, do you feel responsible? And then he goes on his spiel. Yeah.
guy's a goof, man. Not a goof. He's aloof. I don't know. He's wild. Because again, like this, the cockiness and confidence that he has in his sit down interviews, where like he just plays like dumb, like nothing happened, he did nothing wrong, like he's totally innocent, and it's like, bro, like you've been there since the 70s, man. Like you were like second in command since like 77 or something. Like you know what's up. Like and like there's no way you don't know what's happening.
If you watch Bad Sport on Netflix, the one where they go over
Juve?
Juve's
I saw
Calciopoli,
that one, yeah.
and then Luciano Moggi, who was like the head of Juve at the time, and then he comes on at the end. It's like kind of the same vibes. Like it's like, no, we're innocent. We did nothing wrong.
But they're like convicted.
But so it's just kind of funny to like see the similarities. But I guess you kind of have to have those personality traits to be in that position. Like myself, I'd crumble in 2 seconds. Being like, you see the interviews and he's like, he just denies everything.
Yeah.
And like straight face. And those are the personality traits that you have to lead a corporation like that. And like corruption aside, like just in general, like to have the stones and like that confidence to just be like, yeah, everything's good. It's all good. Nothing's going on.
And if there ever was a time that he would do like a tell-all, he's 86 years old. Like how much more time does like Sepp Blatter have on this earth? Like if he was to ever come out and say something to clear his conscience, it'd be now.
What he did last week.
And then last week he comes out and does say that Qatar was a mistake. It's too small of a country to host too big of an event, which I think we all thought that like going in on it like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like why is this small country having the biggest spectacle in the world going there?
The state of Florida could host a World Cup.
Yeah, they could.
And California could too, like the college
Yeah.
football stadiums,
Yeah.
the NFL stadiums, and the soccer stadiums alone.
Easily.
Yeah, but
Like,
that's the
they have
American.
all the
The
highways.
Americans,
Like
what do they do well? Sports and entertainment.
Yeah.
It's two things that they excel in.
I think Qatar's second. So they're going the
Could
next.
be.
They're
We'll
going
see
the next
with those
best
stadiums,
place.
though. You never know.
That's what I said. I'm excited to see like how the stadiums
course.
actually pan
Of
out and how
course.
they look and how we've already seen a couple instances where like media has had a tough time in Qatar. We have a friend of ours actually going to Qatar too, so maybe we'll try and get him on the podcast.
Yeah. Get the experience.
And I
From
think like
Qatar.
the players are in
Yeah.
like a tough spot too, like with all the human rights things and like.
It's not very
like,
good. Like-
It's just like, and they like, should they be the ones to be the advocates and things like that? So it's like an interesting like societal issue, and I don't know. I think it's like over our pay grade to talk about. But
Yeah.
it's just going to be interesting to see how everything plays out. I hope like the product's good, but we'll see. It's just, I feel like there's just too much on the outside that is
There's not enough focus on the game itself, where that's all we really want.
understandable though.
Yeah.
Like it's understandable
It
that
is.
these things.
It is, and it's unfortunate that's happening because it is taking away from the game. And I think it was one of the guys from the Men in Blazers podcast came on and said, like, we should be gearing up for the World Cup right now. We should be
Yeah.
excited. We should be energized to watch our teams, watch our players play, to watch whatever it is. And it's just, it feels like heartless right now because of all the other stuff that is going on behind the scenes, all the other stuff that is being amplified other than just the game. The fact that it's being taken place mid-season, the fact that it's like not at the end of a year where we've already seen our teams do well or, you know, do poorly, but we're looking forward to the World Cup anyways.
The training camps, like
Yeah.
who made the training camps? Okay,
It's
they're
all-
at their camps.
It's all been
right,
like swept under the
who's gonna
rug.
make the final roster? Like this was all done in like a time where they were just at their clubs. They weren't even
Yeah,
at
exactly.
the camp. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
although they made their provisional teams, it wasn't like, okay, the 29 roster, 32-man rosters at the camp. That's where they are. And then like you get deadline day and like who makes the rosters. I know we kind of had something like that. And I guess it's just, I don't know. It's just different. It's just different.
Yeah,
I guess.
it's different. It just kind of feels heartless and then not
in the
as.
winter
And it's in the
for
winter.
us.
Yeah, we're cold.
Mhm.
It's cold here. Be jealous of all the fans there in the nice weather.
Also, though, being at work and Italy not being in it,
Not as bad.
it's not as bad because it's like, how am I going to watch this game? Now I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about it.
That's-
So it actually
That's
works
fine.
out. And in 2018, it was the same thing. It's like, well, I'm working, but
Yep.
I don't have to worry about Italy playing.
Not missing anything.
Yeah, no, it's good.
God, two World Cups in a row.
It's becoming, you can't even say like it's a shock anymore. 'Cause
Yeah.
You already went through it. It's like, what do we do? Well,
It's
you
the
just
norm
watch
now.
the games.
Just like it's sad, but like how relieving it's going to be when Italy finally makes the World Cup again. Be like,
What
know,
if
we haven't-
they don't?
Stop
and
it. Stop it.
It's going to be in
Stop it.
our country.
In Canada.
And if they don't qualify for a
2026.
World Cup that's in North America, crushing.
mm-hmm.
Crushing.
Think of all
Very
like
upsetting.
Because like
the Boston
I'm sure
crowd,
we would
the New
go
York crowd.
wherever they were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'd probably put them in the East Coast, New York, Boston maybe, or even Toronto, which would be great.
Mhm.
And even if they were in Mexico too. Okay,
We're in
4-hour
Mexico.
flight, we're going to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Like for North American fans, that would be pretty cool. I know we kind of deviated from the scandal part of it. But
Yeah. That's
it's
okay.
just-
We'll wrap up the scandal right now. We'll get into our little preview. But last thing I'll say, just everyone who hasn't seen it yet, I'd recommend it. I think we all recommend it highly. If you want to learn more, if you want to learn just, you know, a little bit, just watch it. Like I said, it's 4-part series, 1 hour long each about. And it keeps it like an hour long documentary. Like kind of seems like a bit of a long drag, but like it keeps you.
the first
energized,
episode that
like-
I watched flew by.
Yeah, it's a lot of information. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of. I mean, they interviewed I don't even know how many people for like literally 4 seconds. They come on for a clip, which is kind of funny. Like, what else? I've always thought that. Like, what else do you contribute to the interview? Like, if you bring someone in, they talk for like, I don't know, 20 seconds on camera. It's like, how long were
How
they
much
there
footage?
for?
Yeah.
Like, how many questions did you ask them? How long were they there in the chair for? Like, how many hours of footage do you have of this person giving you a 20-second answer for like the actual documentary? It's kind of funny, but they got tons of people, and like I said, it was very well done, very in depth. And we'll let you have your own conclusions at the end of it once you have watched it. But to the actual games of the World Cup, starting this Sunday, the 20th, I believe, November 20th, is the kickoff game. Qatar, the host country, obviously going against Ecuador. We're going to come at it from maybe more of a England and Canadian point of view. England just because we know a lot about it because we watch the EPL every single week. And Canada being that we are a Canadian. And this is the first time that we've had a World Cup that we actually get to witness.
Mm-hmm.
And actually can contend and actually have maybe more chance in scoring a goal this World Cup. But
We hope.
So we get blessed with England actually coming in the very next day of the World Cup on the Monday, the 21st. I don't know actually what the start time of that game is, but I'm kind of surprised that they're actually like playing, other than like the 5 a.m. game, which is like really early.
That starts on Tuesday.
That's the Tuesday games, yeah. I'll be up for that. I got the kids.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, anyone with young kids
Bro,
has something to watch now when they wake up at 5 a.m.
I've been getting up at 5:30 the last 2 weeks, so I'll get right in for the second half.
8 a.m.
Of all those games. 8 a.m. So yeah, it's kind of cool that they are playing a lot of the games really, really late in Qatar, so that the North American and European
Well, it's only an 8-hour
countries
difference.
can watch it.
I thought it was a little bit more, but it's only an 8-hour difference.
Yeah, but I mean, they're starting games at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They're starting games at 10 over there. That's pretty late. Or I think 3 o'clock, maybe some of them. Is it 2 or 3?
2 o'clock.
2?
But in Europe, though, those are like the prime time
yeah.
times, like the Champions League, the 3 o'clock. That's
No,
9
yeah,
o'clock there.
that's
So
fine.
it's about an hour
Yeah.
difference from what I guess some of them are used to. The 5 a.m. for us is a little bit
Tough.
It's tough, but for them, I think it lines up. I think with their regular scheduling for most of the players,
Does Canada have a fiver?
European players, that is.
Does Canada have a fiver at all?
I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
Oh yeah, no, we got a.
Nice. We got a 2, an 11, and a 10. Beautiful.
Yeah,
God, that Belgium game is.
Yeah, we'll go.
Clear-
I know we're
yeah.
gonna come
clear
up to
your
that, but,
calendars for that one.
is-
Yeah. So
that is
we'll-
tasty.
So we'll just go. We'll go country first. We'll do it. We'll just do England's little schedule first. They have their first game against Iran on the 21st. The game on the 25th against USA. Phil has been saying it's gonna be a big one. Obviously, after American Thanksgiving, everyone's gonna be hungover as
Everyone's
shit.
home.
Everyone's
in the
home.
States.
Everyone's home. Yeah, it's gonna be a really big one. And then the 29th, wrapping up against neighboring country Wales. I'm sure they've played before many times. I think we can all comfortably say England will probably get out of this group for sure. Top of the table, most likely. They got drawn a pretty good group, I believe. Wales could surprise them a little bit, maybe, or like Wales could surprise the USA possibly. USA has had like a very publicly resurgence kind of breakdown in the last couple of years under them. What's the word? Summit. I'm looking for the word summit. They've had a soccer summit in the last couple of years.
Because they also missed 2018.
Yes. After like the Klinsmann era kind of died off, they've had to rebrand themselves. They got rid of a lot of the old guard at USA Soccer, and now they have like the young guns, the Pulisics, the Dest, the McKinneys kind of leading the force for the USA. Reina from Dortmund, yeah. A good squad. I don't think they're going to really compete maybe past the knockout stage, depending on like if they do get out of the group here with England, Iran, and Wales. Who they get paired up against in the next round, we don't know, obviously, but I don't think they're going to be like a Cinderella story side like we saw in 2010.
Even 2002.
2002
when they
too,
first, like Donovan,
Yeah.
and they shocked Portugal.
yeah.
It was Poland and then South Korea, if I remember correctly. It's a long time ago, but that was like Donovan's like coming out party. And
Yeah, that's like
Ryan
the intro,
McBride
like, yeah.
and,
I don't know if
Reina's
Dempsey was there
what's
yet.
his name?
Claudio?
Claudio Reina was there.
I don't think Dempsey was there yet.
I don't think so. No, that was
He would have been there in 06,
06.
though,
He was
like
there.
2010.
But they faced Mexico in the quarters, I believe, or the last 16. But I guess you never know with the Americans. I could see them getting out of the group, but also Wales are, I don't know, not stubborn, but I feel like they play like a stubborn game and like they get results. And I feel like just the motivation against England,
Last match, too.
that could be a group decider, and like who's first and second, or like who's second and third. So it's on paper, I guess it doesn't look like it's the group of death, but I feel like there's a lot of possibilities in this group.
It's the group of question, maybe. It's a questioning group.
We got a group of question. Yeah, I mean, I think Wales do, I think, have the capability to really surprise USA. Like they said, I still think I see England finishing top, but I think with Wales and USA, that's kind of going to be a
Like
toss-up
who's
for me.
battling for second and third.
Yeah, who's going to like want it more between them, and who's going to show up on that day. I mean, you always have to show up
I just think England have the squad depth and the
Right,
experience
like
to take it.
we're not going to say that England's going to get knocked out, but
Right.
strange things have happened where
Yeah.
big countries do not get out of the group stage.
And what's the one we're all thinking of right now?
France 2002.
New Zealand, man.
France 2002 was the one.
And New Zealand.
Germany 2018.
Oh yeah.
Defending champs usually have a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
France 2010 as well. I know they weren't defending champs, but they had a hard time.
Defending
in South
finalists.
Africa, Italy
And
2010, Italy 2014. Anyways,
I'm
you never know.
I'm stopping the Italy
England
talk right now. Okay, if
the
someone says
England
Italy
squad
again,
though,
I'm cutting off.
I
the
kind of
mic.
want to get to. Like, is there anything that jumps out to you? Not a weakness with the squad, but somewhere where they might struggle with, or
For me, it's always been the case with England. I think their mid has a lot of gaps in it. They don't, they don't have that person in midfield that can really like control a game. Like no disrespect to like Henderson or Mount or Rice, but they're not the players where they go into a massive game and they're totally in control of what's happening. Like you see like Luka Modric, Pirlo at the time. They would go and like they are dictating everything that's happening, right? With them, I still think they need the experience to be able to do that, and I just don't see it happening yet in their careers. And with their defenders, I think they're strong in the back. I just don't agree with what Southgate does when he plays in the back. They play three center backs, and they always put Kyle Walker as one of them. Not sure why. Then they play with wing backs, so a 3-5-2, makeshift 3-5-2.
I think they just said Walker's out for the first game.
Yeah. So I don't understand why that's the style they play. I think they can just play like a 4-3-3, and they can just have someone like Kyle Walker when he's fit, and Alexander-Arnold just playing on the wings like they usually do for their club teams and just be perfectly fine. I don't see why you're playing a 3-5-2.
I think it works with Trent there and him not having the responsibility of being in a four-man defense.
Mm-hmm.
Like he can just kind of roam, and like we've seen the clips this year of him just not doing anything defensively.
Yeah.
So maybe that goes into it, and like he
Maybe.
realizes how good of a threat he is when he doesn't have the defensive responsibilities. But I don't know. I guess like Stones is good. Maguire, I don't really know what we're gonna get, but also I know we shouldn't bring it back to Italy again, but
Phil.
I'm sorry, but this actually like
I'm gonna cut
relevant.
I'm cutting my mic right
Before the Euros, everyone thought Bonucci and Chiellini were way over the edge. Like Juve had a horrible season. Chiellini was coming off an injury, and then Chiellini got hurt in the tournament, but the games that they played, they turned it back 10 years.
Yep.
And they were the best defenders in the tournament.
I'm gonna stop you
So
right- I'm gonna stop you right
I know
there.
that might not happen with Harry Maguire.
is not Chiellini.
I understand that, but it's tournament football,
Hold
right?
on a
Where like
sec.
you can just
Yeah.
catch form,
Yeah.
and I
You just show
don't
up.
see it happening. Had they brought Fikayo Tomori, I would have thought that they could use a fast, instinctive center back like that, but I guess not. I think Everton's Connor Cody, who Everton I think is in 17th place, deserved the call up. Not sure how. But then Southgate said that the young players didn't do enough to, move out
to show themselves.
to I don't know, winning a Serie A title,
So if they
best defense, tied best defense in the league. Honestly, though, it's great that he's not going and has a chance to get hurt at the World Cup. I just feel bad that he didn't make this squad when I feel like he should have, and he might not have played had he made the team.
that's another thing.
But
too.
I feel like he did enough to earn a call to Qatar. But a lot of the media were saying he had 2 bad games against Chelsea, which fair enough they did, but half their team was hurt those 2 games this year against Chelsea. And if Southgate really made a decision off 2 Champions League games instead of a whole body of work, I would hope that he didn't make the decision off that.
Mhm.
But
Well,
you never know.
Well, even when he was healthy, Tenig wasn't taking him for the side. Like
Maguire?
the first couple of games he didn't play because
Were you really going to
just
leave him
didn't
out
want
though?
him to
Like I
play.
had a hard time thinking
I
that
thought
he
he
was
would.
going to leave him out completely.
I thought he would because, like, again, like you want to take people that are in form. Like, why would you want to take someone cold who hasn't played in X amount of games or weeks and then put them in?
Well, that's the thing.
frickin'
Like
World
he was
Cup?
talking
Like,
about Tammy, and he's like, "Yeah, he just lost form at the wrong time." I'm paraphrasing. I don't know, and he's right. Tammy was not good, but
in comparison.
also Maguire hasn't played, so I don't know. It's just,
Yeah.
I guess with your favorites, you kind of, you put the people you trust, and we obviously don't know the relationship there, but you're gonna assume that it's pretty good between Maguire and Southgate, and you took him to a finals and a semi-finals, so there is something to bringing players that brought you there,
They've been there before,
but also that can work the other way. But
and, like, this is a relatively young England side. Like, look at that
Yeah.
midfield core. Like, Henderson's 30 plus, but everyone else is sub 25.
Yeah.
I believe, in the midfield grouping. You guys touched on a 3-5-2 formation. So would that be, of the 3-5-2, would the two wingers be defenders?
Yeah, so I've seen Trent and Chilwell there. I've seen
Which one didn't get picked though.
yeah, I know. But yeah, usually it's Trent or Trippier. Or Trent and Luke Shaw.
who started the Euro final?
Luke Shaw.
Right
Shaw.
back. No, Shaw was on.
He was on the left.
The
and then
left.
I think it was Trent.
Walker?
Was it Walker? Maybe.
Was it?
Obviously,
Who was in
had
the back?
Reece James been there, I would feel like he'd be the starter. But
That left side is kind of questionable because, like, Walker's a right back and Arnold's a right back.
So
Ben White's a right back as well. I think
I do like his
Trippier's a right-
versatility
I think
though,
Trippier's
Ben
a right
White,
back
where
too.
he can go center back and right back.
Yeah.
But
He's
I
got a
guess
lot
it's
of
I guess it's Luke Shaw that starts, unless you put a midfielder there and he kind of I don't know, the way you shape it, you can kind of cover that side. But
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Luke Shaw and Trent starting. Yeah, we're just checking out the Italy
Trippier,
lineup. Yeah. Oh, so
totally
Trent
forgot
didn't
that.
even start. Yeah.
Totally forgot.
Me too.
A lot of
Luke Shaw.
things happened that day where I don't think we would remember the exact lineup.
Who cares who started for England?
Who started?
Yeah, Luke Shaw's on the left side there, so I think he might be the first guy up for the left side because like, Trippier's is a right wing back. Same with Arnold. Same with Walker. Same with White. So I don't know what's gonna happen there.
But then, for your attackers, what do? Like, you look at how many attackers that they have. Do you put Saka there if you?
I don't know. It's gonna be.
I know
weird.
he doesn't
Yeah.
play that way with Arsenal, but
Like, you look at those that forward core, like, none of those guys come back. Like, none of those guys have defensive responsibility on their club teams. Same in the midfielders, you have a very clear-cut separation as well. Like, Declan Rice, Calvin Phillips, maybe more Jordan Henderson as well.
I feel like
Very
they'd start
defensive-minded.
Declan
Like-
and Calvin Phillips.
Kind of what they did in the Euros.
Yeah, kind of what they
Very
did. And
similar.
they controlled quite a few games. The final, not so much, but I think that was their decision to just kind of, we scored and we're going to sit back.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if they attack, they have the ability to control. Will they just kind of sit back like they did and counter with what they have up front?
Yeah.
Could happen, but I don't know. Rice is pretty good.
Yeah, he can hold the fort.
But Phillips hasn't
Yeah.
done a lot this year.
Yeah, he hasn't played many games. He's been hurt. He's played a few of the Champions League games and the Carabao Cup games, I believe. Maybe FA Cup too. But
Didn't
I think
he have him playing center back at the start of the year or something? I remember seeing like Pep would
Something.
like bring him back.
I think he might have played there a couple of times just to because they
Preseason or
were
whatever it
short
was,
guys
yeah.
and like, I think Laporte was out or injured, whatever it was. But I think this team is going to be really heavily relying on their forwards to get their goals. Like, I don't think, like, I mean, we've seen Mount before with Chelsea, like, be their spark plug kind of guy. Like I said before in the previous podcast episode, if Reece James isn't clicking for Chelsea, like, Mason Mount's the next man up. And if he's not going, then their team's doing nothing. So I think from a Chelsea standpoint, he's already had that pressure, like, to carry a team from the midfield. So I think if he does get the playing time, again, I don't know how Southgate's going to manage the guys. Like, Gallagher can kind of play that role too. Jude Bellingham, very young player, but very energetic. He can kind of like roam throughout the whole pitch as well. So we'll see like how he does line up in that midfield. If they do play a 3-5-2, obviously they're going to have more defensive players, I think, than attackers from the midfield. So I think they would have like it's like Phil said, like a Rice or a Phillips or a Rice or a Henderson, and then the odd man out would be like able to roam as like a false nine almost.
Yeah.
To support the two forwards. So if that is Mount in that case, then that's going to be like his main goal is to be to feed Harry Kane, to feed
Who's
Foden or
Kane?
Saka. I don't know, because a lot of these guys here are also wingers. Like Rashford plays the wing for United, Sterling for Chelsea, Saka, Foden, Grealish. They all play the wings for their respective
It's not
clubs.
like they're like a pure
They're not
second
strikers,
striker, right?
no.
Or
Right.
like a center forward, or like just
And I think
an actual out and out striker.
Yeah, I think it was Santo that maybe touched on it. Like once, or maybe it was Phil. I forget actually. It's like once the game gets going, like the formations kind of go out the window.
Oh, it's so you
Like-
just it's just for TV to
Yeah.
show their formation. Like
You line up a
yeah.
3-5-2. They have like the opening graphic where all the players are in their spots on the pitch. But then like once the game gets going, like you're gonna see Foden on like the far left. Like even though he's playing next to Kane, possibly like he's just gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like they might play just Kane up top as like an out and out striker by himself, and there's no one like next to him because you got Saka on the left wing, on the right wing. Sorry, Foden on the left wing. Like Grealish can just do his shit and like run around the pitch and get fouls. Like this team can line up very, very, very different ways. And even though they might go 3-5-2, 4-4-2, like whatever all the formations you can name off, it's gonna be so different once the game gets going because they are versatile. Like they are a good side.
which is what you need in a
But it's
tournament
just
play.
and because you can adapt to how you play against other teams, right? So I'm interested to see how they go against Iran in the first game, if they want to go all out attack and like put their foot down and kind of like get the ball rolling really well. Because in this tournament, we know like goal differential does matter when it comes to like deciding ties or draws. So I mean, they don't want to run up the score sheet, and I guess we don't really see that as often as we used to in competition. But if they can get like a 4-0 win against Iran, I'm sure they'll be very, very happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
So like they must put their best attacking foot forward for this game, and then maybe the game against the US on the 25th, it'd be more of like a condensed, neutralized kind of game. Like maybe play one forward up top and kind of drop some guys back in the midfield. Like however they want to adapt against the US. We'll see how that happens, and then obviously against Wales, depending on what happens in the first two previous games, they'll play their formation.
Yeah, are they rotating the squad? Like
Yeah, they can get some other guys haven't got a playing chance, some time to stay fresh and stay healthy. So we'll see how that plans out. But it's a good dilemma to have for Southgate if you're him. Like you're trying to decide, do you play Mason Mount or like Jude Bellingham, or do you play
It's a nice problem. to
Sterling
have.
or Saka? Like it's tough problems to make or tough decisions to make because obviously like guys playing time's at stake and like their careers at stake a little bit, but like your end goal is to win. Like I'm sure if Jack Grealish only plays 10 minutes in the whole World Cup and he wins, I'm sure
And that's
he
what
won't
you
say
hope.
anything.
You hope they buy into
Exactly. Yeah.
that team mentality. The real question is though, with England, is it coming home?
I don't think
think so.
Is
I don't
World Cup
I
coming
do
home?
not think so. I think there's, especially with Brazil, for me, who are the favorites, I think. And you have, teams like Argentina. I would have said Belgium. They have a lot of injury problems right now. But I just don't think England's going to be able to compete with the likes of Argentina or France and Brazil. So I think they're going to find it very tough when they start playing those big teams. Before we move on to Canada, I legitimately thought after we won the Euro Cup, it's like, oh, it's late Euros. The World Cup's only in a year. It's like, oh, we'll probably have a good chance at the World Cup. That was my thought process in 2020.
Don't talk about Italy right now, Joe. We got off that. We literally could like a whole show.
Actually, how does the same team not get out of that group after winning the Euros?
Well, in the same way as England, like this is basically
It's the same team.
So like, how do we not expect them to do as well as we think they might? What is the glaring hole that says that they can't make it to the final? I think it might be defense.
For me, it's that, and I think they're just gonna get outplayed in the midfielder by those really top teams. I think
once the knockout stage comes.
Yeah. That's for me. I think, with Euro teams, I think that's where they had they were able to compete like that because, Germany, having a really tough time rebuilding, and France just did not deliver at the Euro Cup. I think now they have Argentina and Brazil in the mix. and you have all these other international countries, I think it's just more competitive, and they're just going to have a harder time against those teams.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Like I said before, I think we're all in agreement that they will get out of the group. Do we think they're going to win the group?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't say on the website I'm on now like which team they would play next in the knockout. I don't know if they do like a reshuffle or if they do like an actual like winner of Group B play second Group G. Like I don't know if that's already predetermined or not, because that'd be kind of interesting to see. I know it's obviously a long time away. It's almost 4 weeks away or 3 weeks away from that point in time. I think Phil's working the keys right now trying to figure it out. He's got that angry look in his eye. He's trying to be determined. Oh, there we go. Nothing?
I think it is, but I can't seem to find it.
Not clear.
Yeah. Yeah. So right now, it's no clear indication of who it's going to be.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think they'll do okay. But I think they're going to struggle in those big games, especially with not having 1 Euro. If they would have won, then I think they would have all been on like a really high boost and some confidence. But
can they like gain from that and use adversity as their kind of tool to get better?
I think winning just. Oh wait, well, I say that, but come back to Italy, it didn't happen.
I would hope so.
But
they scored. They came out like
First 3 minutes.
on fire. And we were like, "What's going to happen here?" And they just sat back.
That was dumb.
So maybe they take that like, no, we should keep going,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe we're just gonna push a little bit more instead of sit back. Like Verratti and Jorginho and Barella, that game they just dominated the whole.
Yeah.
After 20 minutes in, like the game shifts,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it was just
They didn't
assault from
adapt.
Italy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
they didn't adapt. So will he learn from that? I would think so.
That's a
Now,
fault- that's a
like
fault on the manager,
That'll be the
really.
third tournament, right? This is his third tournament.
I believe so. At least third tournament.
World Cup, Euros, World Cup, yeah. And then Italy will meet England again in the Euro qualifiers for 2024. So
Stop it.
we'll get more Italy England.
Is that already determined or no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a tough group for Italy. They might not even make the Euros. Jesus.
We should be like an automatic bid for winning. Like
Yeah, just because
Like Champions
make
League.
it out.
So yeah, I mean these groups are stacked. Like some of these are pretty nice to look at. Like
The Spain group.
I'm looking here. This is pretty nice here in Group G: Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, Cameroon. Cameroon can be a surprise team, obviously. Switzerland very tough. Serbia's kind of had some resurgent players like Vlahovic and Mitrovic
Milinkovic-Savic.
playing well, and
Yeah.
they could be a threat going forward. And obviously Brazil, being Brazil, they have a lot of demons to exercise. I think Brazil, not having won since 2002.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've arguably been a favorite every year since then. Like every World Cup that comes on, Brazil top 2, top 3 in the odds to win. I think this year they do have the highest odds, I believe.
Yeah, they were the betting favorites at this point.
Yeah. So I mean, again, like what's like
It's a tough
to
group.
go,
Like
it's tough to go against Brazil though when you think about it. But then
of
they
course
always
they're
do
always
something.
there. Yeah.
Something always
Like
happens.
you think it's like they haven't won since 2002. They've won their South American Cups, but it's been a while since they've won. But you can easily see them getting through this group. It'll be challenging.
Is this the squad though to push them over the top?
They gotta. Their attackers are on another level right now. They're the only thing that scares me about this Brazil team are their defenders. They're right back and left back. So they, aside from Bremer, who was Serie A's best defender last year, and he's starting to find his form for Juve.
That's an aging defense.
Alex Sandro doesn't do it for me anymore. This isn't 5 years ago. Danilo actually, and a lot of people make fun of the Danilo João Cancelo swap. Danilo's been Juve's most consistent defender.
Yeah.
But is that enough? And then Dani Alves, where has he been? Like, he had that spell with Barca last year, wasn't that good, and he's probably going to be starting at right back, or if you can put Danilo out right back. I think that's their weakness, but center back wise, I think they're set. Like, Bremer, Thiago Silva, Marquinhos, those are pretty good. It's just out wide I see an issue.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the thing with them is that going forward, they're just so strong. You know, you look at all their attackers; they're like all some like the most informed people right now in the world.
Yeah, really.
So
you get them on the break and they're gone.
Yeah, exactly. So as long as they can play as a team, it doesn't turn into like another Neymar sensation like we're sometimes used to seeing with Brazil. I think they're just going to take it to every team they play against.
Yeah, and we talked about their defense being kind of weak this year, but if they get 3 goals scored against them, let's say, they can put up 5.
And Alisson's always behind them.
That's
which
true
is
too.
a nice safety blanket to have the way he's been playing this year.
Yeah.
Like from the EPL standpoint, like Antony, Gabriel Jesus, Martinelli, like Richarlison, tons of guys that are in form playing like in the Premier League, and obviously you add the likes of Neymar in there.
And Vinicius Jr.
Yeah, just the list goes on and on and on.
I mean, just for like the next closest competition to Brazil, like look no other than their neighbors in South America, Argentina. Like, why can't this be the year? Why can't this year be their year?
Could be the year.
You think it could?
Seems like they're always missing something. But what is that piece?
And I was the same before. It's like I feel like Argentina's always missing something, and they also have Messi, so I'm not even sure like what they're missing. I remember I haven't watched a lot of games in Argentina. I think it was just the one me and you watched, and it was just like
it was actually bad
9.
to watch.
It was like it was like 9 players like just trying to like force the ball down the middle all the time. There was like no. Yeah. It was so strange to watch. I'm like, this is Argentina, because I think it was probably last World Cup.
Yeah.
And just watching, it's like, what is this? This is so strange.
Very, very weird game. It was like it looked like a half-court basketball game. Literally, the team was just defending, entire team in the 18, and Argentina barely played it outside of the 18, like width-wise. It was literally give the ball to Messi in the field. Messi's trying to shove it down the throat of this team, try to go through the middle, make all these little passes in the 18. Literally no width. I don't know what they're doing. Like, put the ball out wide and start putting the ball in the box and stretch the team, but they just weren't doing it, which I don't understand why. So if that's kind of their strategy, it's just gonna come back to eat them, because it feels like they just have one method of attack over and over and over again, and it's not working. They just keep trying to do the same thing, which doesn't work.
And looking at their roster here that they picked for the World Cup, kind of similar. We didn't really touch on it for Brazil, but the only one hole maybe with Brazil as well is like their midfield core, like in the central parts of midfield. I mean, I'm play ignorant here. I don't really know much about Argentina's inner workings and all the players for them. But like the midfielders and this core here, like I don't know how good a lot of these guys actually are. And to have the attack of Messi, Di Maria, like Lautaro Martinez, Dybala, like those are like huge names. Julian Alvarez too. Like those are big names that are going to perform. But the next question is like, who's giving them the ball? Like who's going to put them in the positions to be in that's going to threaten? So you can probably touch on Martinez and like how he's played.
Yeah, he's for Inter. He goes in spurts though. Like he'll go in scoring slumps. But when he's slumping, like he's always getting shots. And then when he's out of that slump, then he's just burying goals. Mm-hmm. He's probably, aside from Lukaku, but he hasn't played this year, he's Inter's most important attacker. Correa also plays for Inter, but he usually comes on in the second half. And I'm honestly surprised that he even made this team. He hasn't really done much this year. Dybala is a stud. I don't think there's much that even needs to be said about him. They're actually lucky that he came back from his injury. He made like a 10-minute cameo this weekend for Rome. Di Maria's back for Juve too. Actually, he scored a sick goal for Argentina today, and they played a friendly. In the midfield, though, DePaul, he's with Atletico. He's actually very good.
Yeah.
But
I know
the way
McAllister's with
Atletico's
Brighton.
been playing this year, though,
Yeah.
like I haven't watched much of him. Hoping like his form hasn't dropped off, and then Paredes with Juve hasn't really played because of injury.
Right.
Enzo Fernandez, I've read, is supposed to be really good. I haven't really watched.
That's what
a
I
lot
mean.
of them,
Like,
but
it's kind of like
you
a
just kind of
mixture of
go through
guys that
Twitter
you
and you're
don't
like,
know.
okay, these guys look like they're in form, and you're kind of reading what people are saying. But I think the thing with Argentina, though, that even like growing up, I mean, after Walter Samuel left, like kind of like after that 2006 team, their defenders haven't been like world class
Yeah.
defenders. Romero's pretty good, but he's, I don't know, I wouldn't say he's top level. I'd say he's one of the better center backs in the EPL, but I wouldn't say.
They're aging though too. Like
Yeah,
all of them are aging.
Yeah.
You got Nicholas Otamendi.
So if
in
they
there,
can,
too.
Yeah.
if they can find a good groove, I guess then they'd be fine. But with those attackers, like same thing with Brazil, they're unreal up front. So can they hold and then just do enough offensively where they can score their way out of trouble? Past tournaments, though, they haven't, other than 2014 when they made the final, and then Higuain was a goal away from them winning that World Cup. But I can see them winning. That'd be a pretty cool story. Messi going out on top.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah, and then being in Group C, paired against Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland. I think their toughest side will obviously be the Mexico or Poland match. Two different teams, very much so. Like Mexico, I feel like a lot of them play domestically, like in Mexico. Not many. You don't see many Mexican players playing outside of like South America or Central
Other
America.
than Lozano at Napoli, but
Yeah, there's not many though. So I feel like that core of players might play well together because they know each other probably pretty well, or their chemistry might be pretty good. Poland, different story. A lot of guys play outside of Poland, obviously. Lewandowski playing his football now in Spain with Barcelona. He's a guy who obviously would be a big threat to that Argentina defense. But again, it's kind of like you have to get past the first line of defense for Argentina. You have to get past the forwards, get past the midfielders, gain possession first of all too. We know that they're high possession side, like many other top clubs and top countries. So I think them getting out of the group would be pretty comfortable. That second spot though is gonna be juicy.
probably
though.
a guarantee for Argentina to get out.
Yeah,
That'd be,
the
that'd be one of
Mexico-
the biggest shocks to not make it out.
Yeah, the Mexico-Poland battle would be pretty good though to
Like
watch.
if Ochoa comes out again and he's the stud goalkeeper,
Man, this guy's
that
been
he
there
is,
forever,
so
bro. Like
he can pull off some miracles. Mexico might be making out of the group. Poland also has some really good players. So I'd flip a coin for that second spot.
Yep. I agree.
Where should we go to next? Do you want to go Group E?
I think that's the most enticing one. Like France, Australia, Denmark, Tunisia, probably France and Denmark.
You would think so, yeah.
No big surprise there. Although it would be pretty cool to see Australia make it out of that group.
The Socceroos?
Socceroos.
Yeah.
There's no goose hitting there this time, so they probably won't. But I think that'd be pretty cool to see them out of the group.
Group E being Spain, Costa Rica, Germany, and Japan. I mean, there could be some surprise in this group, to be honest. I mean, Germany, we've seen them last World Cup not have the greatest showing. Japan, you never know what's going to really happen there. A lot of players obviously play domestically for them as well. And then Costa Rica, just kind of your hodgepodge of players. I mean, I'm sure a lot of them do play a lot of like international football in Europe, but not the highest of class. You know what I mean? Keylor Navas obviously being there is like the old head.
But they can bring it together, though, in a tournament. We saw that. I know it was a long time ago, but if that group mentality, right? Like, they
That's what I mean. These South
they
American
can
sides,
surprise.
like,
They're feisty. Like, that playing style can sneak up on teams. And, like, that physical style, a lot of teams aren't used to.
Yeah.
So you frustrate them, and it's hard to play against. Then you have a chance to surprise a team.
Yeah.
We've seen it with Colombia with like James Rodriguez in 2014, I believe.
Costa Rica 2014.
Them too as well, yeah. The South American sides, you can't count them out because they do play a different brand of football. Like, they do play, like Phil said, like very like physical game.
Yeah.
So
Their qualifying is one of the hardest qualification routes. Like, they have to play like it's a rough style of game, and that's like for most of South America. So when they do come up against European competition, it can catch teams by surprise. Maybe not by surprise, but like it's just hard to play against, and you actually realize this is hard to play against. It's not as easy to break them down.
Yeah, so we'll see how they play. Yeah, I think defense is like mostly what they're gonna be based on. I think they'll try and like win games 1-0 or get some draws against Spain, Germany, and Japan. But I mean, one of these teams, let's just say Costa Rica might be the 4th place team in this group. Japan, Germany, Spain, like those teams could fight each other.
Yeah.
Like again, like we would probably look at it on paper and say Spain and Germany would be the top 2 to get through, but Japan could obviously make some noise as well and put up a fight. Again, all you need in tournament play is a draw. Like an odd draw can just change the script on
I'm
how
pretty
the group pays out.
sure like Japan's the team that knocked out Germany in the last World Cup. Am I remembering that correctly?
Oh,
I'm pretty sure Germany lost to Japan 4-2. I don't know.
4-2?
I think, or something like that. Something weird. 2-1. I don't know. 3-2. Yeah, they were the ones. I remember Germany got knocked out from Japan. I'm pretty sure it's Japan.
Okay.
But there will be upsets. So I'm hoping one of those upsets come in the next group.
Nice, Joe.
Group
Before we skip to that, just want to talk on Spain real quick. Any glaring holes in the Spain side here?
Here's my thing. We were talking about this the other day. They didn't take Ramos, De Gea, and who else?
Iniesta?
Well, but
Xavi.
who are we talking about with this?
David Villa.
Who are we talking about with this, with the experience thing?
I forget.
I think it was probably Andrew at the game.
Fernando Torres.
But we were saying how, like, you need, because you look at this team, you have Carvajal, as Will Qualts is experienced. Yeah, they have Busquets. But I just feel like having a guy like Ramos in the dressing room is like the kind of guy you need to like bring that winning mentality. But like the keepers in particular, I'm just surprised De Gea or Arrizabalaga is not there, especially with
his recent form has been pretty good, but I wouldn't put him in the class of maybe these guys. David Raya, where does he play? He plays in England.
I think
He's
Brentford.
Brentford, yeah. Nice, Phil. Good call. But yeah, I mean, the De Gea thing to me is weird because he's obviously been the guy for so long now. Like once Casillas hung up the gloves, it was kind of De Gea's team. But like, he's not very good. like he makes a lot of mistakes. He makes a lot of errors. And we've seen it firsthand with United. Like a lot of times, he kind of has like Jordan Pickford syndrome, where like he's the best you have, so you have to kind of play.
Like,
him.
is he that ball playing keeper?
Yeah, no, and I don't think he is for whatever Spain wants to do. What's the manager's name again?
Luis Enrique.
Yeah, Luis.
Who's going to be on Twitch?
Oh yeah,
his
that's
Twitch
right.
account, and he's going to be streaming throughout the tournament, which I think is awesome. And we were talking like
A little behind the scenes.
like the whole Ronaldo thing and like how that all came out, and like he's going to give like a coach's view of everything.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And I won't really understand it due to the language barrier, but I think that's pretty cool. That's like the first time a coach is going to do something like that, where they're going on Twitch talking about the games and the teams, and we'll see how much he actually gives out. But I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. But
Yeah.
I think they do have a lot of veterans on that team.
Yep.
Jordi Alba's
they have a
still
good
there.
mix.
Busquets is still there.
Mhm.
So I wonder why Ramos didn't make it. I don't know. I don't watch a lot of PSG, so I can't really say
Has he even been
how
playing
he's
this year?
been doing. I've seen some highlights where he has been there. But maybe they're just ushering in a new crop of center backs.
Maybe, yeah. They definitely are a good.
They're not bad. Their center backs on paper
but
right there are not bad. Eric Garcia, maybe, I don't know.
But the side as a whole, like it is a good mix of like youth and experience for sure. Like
Especially
throughout
that
the
midfield.
entire core of midfield, like Busquets, obviously Rodri kind of coming on the scene last couple of years with Man City. Marcos
Gavi, if he
Llorente,
finds
Gavi,
it,
like
Pedri.
yeah, no, it's a ton of names that you would know. Even like their attackers, like Morata being there, obviously
He's going to start, obviously.
He's going to be there to start.
Yeah.
We know that. And he's going to score some big goals, and
Yeah.
he'll probably get some hate for missing a sitter.
But then at the same time,
Like,
you
it's
have,
just, it's kind of the way it goes.
Yeah.
at the same time, you have Ferran Torres from Man City, who's obviously been in form. Whenever Haaland's not playing, he seems to be performing and getting goals too. So,
Ferran Torres.
yeah. Oh my God, no! What am I thinking of right now?
You're thinking of Alvarez.
I'm thinking of Alvarez. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Ferran Torres.
Ferran Torres
Yeah,
was
Ferran
there.
He's gone. Yeah,
Ferran
he's
Torres
gone.
was there. Also,
Ferran Torres was there.
Dani Olmo, I think, is one of the best attackers. But playing in Germany, I don't think he gets the love that he should. I don't know. He was great at the Euros.
Yeah, he was.
Missed a PK in the decisive game for them, but I think he's one of the better attackers that they have. Not an out-and-out striker, but I think he'll play a big role if Spain makes it far in this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And then just to wrap up that group, we'll touch on Germany real quick too with their squad. Another mix of veteran and young players.
Their forwards don't.
They don't scare you?
You know, there's talent there. Who's the out-and-out?
Who's the guy?
Well, I mean,
Who's Mario Gomez? Who's Miroslav Klose?
They don't have those guys.
Although Thomas Müller is the highest scoring player going into this tournament right now.
If
the most World Cup goals, most active World Cup goals.
if they were to play Kai Havertz, then they'd be settling on a false nine as like their formation because that's
Which
all
I think
he can
they've
really play.
done the last little bit though.
Most likely, yeah, because
Yeah.
they don't have like a pure
Yeah.
striker, obviously. But other than that, like you look up and down the list of this team, like they are deep.
Yeah, and that's what I struggled with, especially the last tournament. Like, how do you not perform with this team? Like, sure, you don't have a striker, but like you are so deep in defense and midfield. Like, and you have Thomas Müller, like you were saying, Phil. Like, how do you just not
I don't know,
find a
they
way?
just couldn't put it together though in
Yeah.
the final third. I don't know. Maybe a little bit of luck plays into it, and then they just start firing like on all cylinders this tournament, which they can. Like they're not short of attacking talent. It's just who's gonna be the guy that maybe scores 3 or 4, maybe 5 goals this tournament.
Yeah,
And it is fun to see like how each country does line up their team and like picks their team, because we see here they have like quote forwards only 4 listed on as chosen, whereas England had like 6 or 7 or whatever it was.
But then like Gnabry and
Right,
Sané are listed as midfielders.
Yeah, but again, they're very similar to like how Sterling or Foden would play or Saka. So they put them as midfielders in this case, but for England they put them as forwards, so it made more. But whatever the case is, like the likes of Gundogan, Gnabry, Leroy Sané, Kimmich, Müller, Götze, like these are huge names for Germany.
Götze was a surprise though.
A little bit.
Because I think it's been a while since he's actually been called up. Do you
think it has something to do with what his contributions were in
I
2014?
don't know. Like we talked about a lot. It's the group, right? And that how like being together for a whole month. You want to be together for a whole month. You got to have that right mix of personalities. So maybe that had something to do with it.
He's been there before.
He's
won in the
know
past.
something we don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
He's
again,
gonna shock us this tournament.
yeah.
it might be another case where like he doesn't get a lot of playing time, but just to be there around the group, right? Be in the locker room, be there at halftime to be the voice of reason or to give kind of some sort of motivational speech. Yeah, for sure. Like, again, like he's still good. Like he's not bad. Like he's obviously fallen off from what he used to be.
None of these guys are bad.
No, I don't mean to say bad, but they're not, on their way out, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then obviously having Menno Neuer as your last line of defense is huge. So this could be his final World Cup. We'll see. Mueller obviously might be his final World Cup. So these guys definitely want to go out on a really high note. So be look out for Germany maybe. See if they get out of Group E. Group F. It's us.
Here we go.
It's Canada. Wow, we're here. Facing the Belgians in the first game.
Yep.
As we touched on, no Lukaku, huge for us. I mean, they still have a pretty good team, but
Yeah,
it's not as daunting as what it seemed like
It's
when
nice
the first
to not
draw
have
came through.
him
Yeah.
just being all over the place and playing well. If he's back to his form from 2 years ago, I would say that he was one of the most unstoppable strikers that we saw.
So we stopped him. Italy stopped him.
He had quite a few chances.
Yeah, he
We
did.
were,
Yeah.
we were pretty lucky that
We
they
also-
didn't score. But
Donnarumma.
that
We also
was-
had Donnarumma.
Like Lukaku on Inter was a handful. Like no one
Yeah.
could contain him. Now though, we'll see.
Yeah, like they, it's a Belgium team I think we're used to seeing, with just how good they are all over the field. It's just with Belgium, they never seem to just meet the expectations. They always seem to just miss that step to be as good as everyone, would expect them to be, and how good I think they can be. And that's the only thing that could be a saving grace for the other teams in this group. Think of how old their defenders are right now. You got Vertonghen there, Alderweireld. These guys have been playing for quite a while. And that's the only thing where I think if we can attack them with pace and just go at them in their defense, I think that's where we can cause some problems.
I think that now that the pressure's off,
Mm-hmm.
it might actually be a good thing. Like they're not going in as favorites or this is the golden generation. It's like, oh no, this is the last chance for the golden generation.
Yeah.
So maybe they find it because the pressure's not on them, so to say,
Yeah.
like to be the champions. Arthur Thiat, he played at Bologna last year, underrated defender.
Mm-hmm.
He might be a surprise for Belgium if he actually gets some time over Vertonghen and Alderweireld. But they have some talent that it's going to be tough for the Canadians to contain in
Yeah.
that first game. I think Belgium ultimately takes the win in that first game, which is
It's gonna be tough.
it's not a bad thing to lose
No.
to Belgium if you're Canada.
It's gonna
Obviously,
be tough.
you'd like a draw, but I think the no pressure helps. Not that there's no pressure, but I feel like the constant they're number one. I think it helps that they're kind of under the radar this tournament.
I hate to be that guy because
Go
I
ahead.
hate the FIFA rankings.
The worst thing in the world.
What has Belgium done to be placed in the top 2 or 3 of FIFA rankings for the last 10 years?
They win their friendlies,
Okay, great.
and that is a big thing for
But
FIFA rankings.
you just
it's
said
not
like,
a huge thing.
You just said that the pressure's off. I think the pressure's on more than anything because this is the last ditch effort for this golden core to get it done because they have been ranked for so long in the top 1 or 2 positions. They have had so much expectation in the last couple of World Cups and European Cups to perform well, to get to a final, for God's sake. They haven't gotten to a semifinal.
Yeah.
They haven't even been close. They haven't sniffed it, but yet they're ranked and they're talked up for so much. And, De Bruyne is, 30 years old or whatever he is now. Lukaku is around 30 years old. So come next World Cup, maybe they get another Euro under their belt, sure. But come next World Cup, they're 34. Hazard's going to be 36. The guys like Vertonghen, Alderweireld, like Santos said, they'll be out of the game. Axel Witzel's been around forever. They're going to be out. So the golden generation of the guys who were the ones supposed to get it done will be gone. And I'll be surprised if I do see Belgium in the top 5 coming in the next couple of years of the world rankings. But I feel like they have more pressure on them now to actually get a championship done than ever before. And I feel like that's Canada's opportunity to be like, let's fucking do something here. And I mean, I do agree that with Phil, with what he said, I do think Canada might actually suffer a loss in this game. But I mean, going in,
It's not the worst thing in the world.
No, it's not. But you have to be realistic in your expectations as well for Canada. Yes, we qualified. That's huge. We qualified.
Can we get a
first.
draw to Belgium?
That's what I mean. We qualified first
That'd
out
be
of CONCACAF.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah. To be the top team out of CONCACAF is an accomplishment in itself. But
And the whole goal differential thing too, like we were talking about.
yeah,
Okay, you suffer a loss. Maybe it's 1-0. Maybe it's 2-1. That's great. -1 goal differential. You hope it's
Keep
not
it tight.
4-0.
Yeah.
4-1, which
Yep.
I don't see it happening. You never know.
Yep.
But I think Canada would be really happy with a draw in that first game.
Yeah.
and this is our first big test on the world stage. So you have to be again, I kind of set your expectations at a minimum.
And
you can't be
Canada
like, oh, we're
dealt
gonna
with
win.
CONCACAF pressure.
Right.
Now it's a little bit
It's
a little bit different,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
Canada did well, like their home games, like those were tough atmospheres, and like where they had issues in the past. What was it, Honduras?
Yes.
That was
Those are dark
10
horse
years
all the
ago?
time.
Yeah, like
Guatemala maybe El
they
Salvador.
passed those tests. So now that extra pressure, can they cope with it?
Mm-hmm. And like, I mean, I don't think anyone's going to go into this World Cup thinking Canada's going to win all 3 games and be like 9 points ahead or win 9 points and be top of the group. That's not going to happen. If it did, wow, like amazing. That'd be incredible.
You need everything to go right. Like your keeper's got to steal you games, which happened during qualifying. Like it was the perfect storm, right? Like Davies on that ridiculous counterattack goal. I forget who it was against, where the guy could have just tapped it out of bounds.
Yeah.
And nothing would have happened. Those are things like, can you capitalize on Belgium's mistakes in that first game and then defend enough where you can eke out a point?
Yeah. Kind of side note here. Just love how Alphonso Davies is listed as a forward here for Canada.
Oh yeah, he's playing on the wing. He is not playing left back.
Well, that's what I mean. Bayern, he's just a wing back. I just find that funny. I feel like that's the most of all the teams. I feel like that's the probably one of the things where he's just definitely a different position for club and country.
Oh, he has to be. It's like Zinchenko too. It's like a center mid for Ukraine or something.
Oh, that too. Yeah, Zinchenko. Yeah,
and he's good there.
He is good.
That's what I mean. For City and now with Arsenal, you're playing outside back, but for City and Arsenal, the way they're playing, it's just your outside backs are coming in the mid and still playing with the ball.
I think with this Canada side, it's something that even is kind of similar to what the Americans squad is like. This is the first World Cup where majority of the players are playing international soccer. They're not playing domestic. I know some of them are playing MLS or playing even, I think 1 or 2 guys are playing the Canadian League actually. But same with the US. This is the first time that most of the players are playing outside of the MLS. And it's the highest competition that Canada's ever put forward. It's the strongest squad we've ever had for any competition basically. And obviously that showed with qualifying first in CONCACAF. So with this side too, even though this is our first big showing on the world stage, even though there is a lot of hype behind us, I do think we can still surprise some teams. And I still do think that we could maybe get second place in this group. I mean, we'd have to try and get lucky against Croatia. I mean, get a draw or a sneaky win possibly against Croatia. And then we would really have to win against Morocco. That would be like a must win for us to obviously try and, pull anything out of this World Cup in a really positive way. But that Croatia side, it's an aging side. We've seen a lot of these players before. I don't know what really jumps out and like scares me from this team.
Besides,
Luka Modric is dope.
Besides that little guy,
Brozovic, one of the best midfielders. Perisic, one of the
I don't know. I mean, Perisic is at Tottenham. He hasn't really done much since he's been there. To be honest.
Yeah. See, I'm thinking more back to his last few years in Italy, but
that's not what he is now.
No,
really.
I know, but
no, I know what you're saying. They are aging, so they can be exploited. I think with that really energetic attack.
They're aging, but they obviously are still really good. Like, they wouldn't be in this spot if they weren't good. They were just in a final 4 years ago.
18. I think the same thing. Like, who's gonna score?
Right.
Like, who's gonna be that guy this year? No Mandzukic, Rebic had a falling out with the coach. He hasn't been there in a couple of years. So is Kramaric going to be the guy? Like, who's going to find the form, or is it all just going to come from the midfield? Which is kind of what we saw Euro 2020. But yeah, if Canada could steal a win, I don't know if it's going to happen.
It had to be a steal. It had to be a steal.
What I'm seeing is like draw Croatia and then fight for a win against Morocco. Even Morocco's not easy, but I feel like that's kind of I don't know, like go 1-1-1 in the group.
That would probably be like our biggest success.
Would 4 points make it?
And then watch them beat Belgium. Well, I can see 1-1-1 as.
But can can you emerge second place with four?
That's
with
the thing.
4
Like
points?
Goal
what,
differential.
the goal differential. What's going to happen? Belgium, Croatia, Belgium, Morocco, Croatia, Morocco,
Morocco might be a one to watch for us.
Mm-hmm.
and Croatia, Belgium is the last fixture of the group. So I don't know.
What's the first game?
Croatia, Morocco.
Okay, so yeah, that's gonna be one to watch. Like that's when Canada
5 a.m.er.
plays. I'll be up. I'll be awake for that. I'm jacked up. I'm excited. I mean, obviously, if Italy was here, they'd probably be my first, team to root for. But like our home country is like in the World Cup. That's pretty freaking cool.
And the first time in our lifetime,
Right.
Yeah.
that they're here.
They've done a lot to get here, obviously, like the likes of Alphonso Davies, Jonathan David, like these guys emerging as, Canada's like, biggest, brightest stars has been awesome.
And
Kyle Larin as well.
Stars
too.
that are wanted by bigger European sides,
Yes,
which
yeah.
I've never seen for a Canadian player. We saw
Yeah.
with a little bit with the Americans the last few years, but Jonathan David might get sold for a huge sum this summer.
Yeah.
He had Arsenal ties for a little while, I
Yeah,
think.
Lille are going to cash in on him. Davies made the huge jump.
Low-key Junior Hoylett still being there is pretty
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's playing
So
for like Reading or something.
I don't ever
QPR.
remember.
It was QPR for a long time. I think it's Reading now.
Yeah.
Yes, and we would play with him on FIFA because he had
99
crazy
pace.
speed. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do like this team. It's a team where obviously like, if you followed Canada and if you like the journey that they've made from, being just so god awful like years and years ago, to especially the last couple of years, it's been a journey, and this team is a team that's really likable. Like they're a very like hardworking team. That's not, even though we have Alphonso Davies and he's been like our golden boy to like kind of rally the whole team around and build the team around. This still is a very team oriented side. Like they all fight together and they all play well together, and you don't really like, even though we don't have like the top names in football, obviously these guys are solid enough where there's not many gaps. Like, I mean, I don't see us getting exposed, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as like the work ethic's there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine having Tamori at the back too.
He could have been
played
there.
for Canada.
Calgary. That would have been pretty sick.
And
but we
can
got
they
Milan
build on
Borjan,
this for 2026? So like this will be a cool first little stepping stone for them, and can they bring that as a host, as a host country into the next tournament?
Well, I feel like half these guys will probably be gone by then.
Right.
Like Tiba Hutchins is like
Right.
39 or something. Osorio's like 31, 32. But then you'll get Davies at 26.
Like
You'll
in their
have
prime.
Tejan Buchanan at
Yeah,
24,
David's,
25.
Jonathan David's going to be in his prime.
Yeah. You'll have a lot of these guys who are young enough that this is obviously their biggest test. This is all these guys' biggest test. But from the really youthful standpoint, it's a perfect time to be in this position because you're getting exposed to what the World Cup is before like you're in your prime. You know what I mean? Like they can still show up and perform and surprise a lot of teams, being the young guns, like being only 21, 22, being inexperienced and just kind of flying by the seat of their pants kind of guys. But then by 2026, when they're 24, 25, 26, 27 years old, they'll most likely, like what Phil said, like be at bigger clubs. They'll be around more world-class
playing in the
players. You're
Champions
playing
League
against
games,
world-class
like,
players more often.
I mean, some of them are already, but like, should it not go well this tournament? I think
it's to
okay.
build upon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like now okay, this is what it's like to play Belgium and Croatia
Yeah.
in a World Cup game that actually means something.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think
this
that's
guy.
what's good is that they're playing against like two really big clubs. You're not in a group where it's like, you got some smaller sides, so you're getting that experience. I
You're
think that's
forced
key.
to bring your game up
Yeah.
for these two teams. Whereas I guess if you get another CONCACAF side or something like that, and you're like, oh, can kind of take it easy. Well, no, you can't.
Yeah, but it's just a perception thing, right?
Yeah. Like this guy here, Alistair Johnson, like he's been playing every game for Canada, I think. For the last little while, he's been like the starting center back. He's 24 years old. He looks like the most unassuming, most Canadian guy of all time. He plays for Montreal FC. or CF. Sorry, CF Montreal.
They changed their logo again.
I know, I don't like it. But he played,
again.
a
I think another
third
one
time?
came out. Yeah.
Oh God. Okay, well, he plays for CF Montreal in the MLS. He's about to go up against Kevin De Bruyne, or it could have been Lukaku.
Which how
or,
awesome
or
is
Hazard.
that?
You know, like
Yeah.
who is this guy? You know what I mean? Like he's going against the likes of MLS players on a day-to-day basis and qualifying against CONCACAF guys from Jamaica or El Salvador or
But
wherever.
people said that about some of the Americans too.
With Ronaldo
And,
when they play against Portugal.
You come together as a group and
They do.
Yeah.
you're fine.
But it's like what an opportunity for him to be in this position. But at the same time, it's like, holy shit, man. Like I'm lining up against, De Bruyne or Tielemans or Eden Hazard. Like it's crazy.
And if they are thinking like that, it's not good.
It's probably
yeah,
not.
like you
And
gotta
I'm sure
you gotta
they'll-
go with that mindset.
I'm sure they'll be
but I'm
professional
sure,
about
yeah,
it.
They're not.
They'll
they're
be
not coming with that
professional.
mindset.
But it's gotta be like
Human
a
nature,
bit
yeah.
of an out of body
Yeah,
experience. It's like,
for
oh my
sure.
god,
Like,
look where I'm at right now.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've always thought that, like, what would you do, like, if you're actually in that spot? Like, you finally made it to where you're at, and it's like, that's Ronaldo, like, 6 feet away from me right now. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, that's
And then
gotta
he
be
runs
so
right by
crazy.
you
Yeah.
and
Oh
scores.
my god.
Actually, definitely, 10 years ago, Ronaldo was in his prime. Well,
Yeah.
one of his primes. One of his
He's in
many
many
primes.
primes.
He's 27. This guy's 14. Watching him on TV.
Does Canada make it out of the group?
First gut reaction is no.
Yeah.
My first gut reaction is yes.
Oh, Joe.
There's gonna be. Here's my whole thinking.
Here we go.
All the favorites are not gonna win.
Yeah.
It always happens.
Yeah.
It always happens. And I think I feel like we may get underestimated, and there were a lot of good signs in our qualifying. And I don't know. I just think it's a possibility. It's not
is doable. Not totally out for me.
the one saving grace I will say is a lot, like, especially because the World Cup is like in the middle of this like 2-part season thing. I feel like a lot of these European teams might struggle with a lot of players coming right from like their European league. Like what? De Bruyne played yesterday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now he's got to play Canada in what, 6 days?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we'll see.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Good point,
What do you
Joe.
think?
My heart says we can make it out. My brain is saying maybe not.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Like, again, I think Phil said it. Like, a lot has to go right for us to get the breaks, for us to be successful in this tournament. Obviously, I don't know the expectations of what Canada can do or what it is. Like, is a win in the group stage a positive thing for us? Like, obviously, yeah, but like, is that what we're gunning for? Like, just to get a win in the group? Is that our mentality? Like, is that what some
No.
people would rally around and be like, oh yeah, we got to win again in the group against Morocco? Or are the expectations that we are going to get out of the group?
I think so. I think Herdman has the style where it's like they believe they can go and perform every game, and that's why they go. It's the same thing like the coach of Brentford said that I really liked. He said they've never gone into a game where they didn't believe they could win, and if there ever is, and they're like, I forget what he said, where they're like not going to play or something, but that's their belief. Like, being a pro athlete, I've even heard what's the guy's, one of the pundits, like super famous pundit, Joe Cole. No, not Joe Cole, the guy who's always on Dazen.
Michael Owen?
Michael Owen. Jeez. Sorry, Michael Owen. Where he said, every game he would go in, he would go with mentality like, I'm the best player on this field right now. Like, none of these players are better than I am. And that's the mentality you go in, because you go, you're playing for your life and you believe you're the best. Now, I don't know how many players take that approach, but, I think being a pro athlete, there's some thing to that of going into games, like having a little bit of that kind of healthy ego, thinking that you can win.
Yeah, there's a fine line between confidence and cockiness.
Mm-hmm.
Like you kind of have to find that middle ground
Yeah.
where it's like I'm not like my shit doesn't stink, but I'm also here to win,
Yeah.
right? So that's a good point. I mean, I'm not trying to like put Canada down saying like we don't have a chance or anything, but I'm just trying to be somewhat realistic because we have only played
Yeah.
USA and Mexico. Really, like those are the two competitive countries that we played against in the last X amount of years where it actually means something. Now we're going against Belgium. We're going against Croatia, who again was just in a World Cup final 4 years ago. Belgium, again, top 2 or 3 ranked country in the world the last 10 years. Morocco, that could be like our, I don't want to say guarantee, but like that could be like our win scenario. But the other 2 games are going to be very, very tough.
Yep.
I mean, even with injuries with Belgium and with an aging side like with Croatia, like we touched on, it's still going to be very hard to get positive results from these games. Can we do it? Yes, of course. Am I leaning like we're going to do it is another thing. I'm just trying to be devil's advocate like a little bit. Again, I think Phil said like 1-1-1 is like very doable, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Will that get us to the next round? I don't know. We'll see.
Let's see.
Group G, we kind of said before, Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, Cameroon. I think Brazil and Switzerland and Serbia will fight it out, maybe.
Yeah, I think Brazil finishing top. Maybe Serbia has a little bit of the upper hand on Switzerland, but Switzerland put in a really good performance in the Euros, so I definitely wouldn't count them out. So they're just gonna have to battle out for second, I think.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Switzerland. A lot of Italian team, a lot of players playing the
Same with
Serie A. Yeah.
Kostic is on fire. Vlahovic, if he's healthy. Milinkovic-Savic. Then the brother Milinkovic-Savic, the goalie.
The goalie, yeah.
Yeah. That's that 2-3-4 spot
Mm-hmm.
in that group. I honestly
Even
don't
Cameroon
know.
too, eh?
Yeah, I think so. Throw the names in a hat and pick them out for 2-3-4. I don't really know the order of what it's going to be. I mean, I guess Brazil too. Like if they get caught by a Serbia or a Switzerland,
Yeah.
So like on paper, I guess this one looks like it's Brazil at the top, but like we said with every other group, you just
Yeah, you never
don't
know.
know.
When you do see a side like Brazil put in a group that has 2 European teams, it's interesting. Because again, the playing style is so different.
Yeah.
Like you have a lot of guys obviously in Serbia and Switzerland that played in Europe, and that playing style is so different than what plays in Brazil. And a lot of the players from Brazil obviously play in Spain or in England a little bit, but also a lot of domestic back in Brazil, which the playing style is so different than what the Serbian and Switzerland culture is as well. So yeah, it could be a tight one because like obviously Serbia and Switzerland are probably more defensive than what Brazilians would, and I mean that could really affect the game. Like Brazil could like not penetrate Serbia or Switzerland like potentially.
Who thought
Obviously.
Switzerland was going to beat France in
Exactly, they
Euros?
put
I know
in
that's
a hell of a
knockout
run.
game. It's a little different, but there's talent there
Mhm.
where they can create an upset.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you guess something?
No.
Okay. And then Group H: Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, Republic of Korea. I don't know. Another one.
Yeah, this one I really don't know, like at all.
Yeah.
Like Portugal's good, but they're just another team for me that just like doesn't. I mean, granted they didn't win Euros that 1 year, which I feel like that was France's game to lose.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean they're good. It's just, are they going to show up is my whole thing. And it just, of all the teams, no disrespect to them, but I just feel they're the best team that's just still like a team of individuals for me. They don't really have like the cohesiveness we see in like teams of Italy and like Belgium.
Like
and
we forget
England.
they went through the playoff qualifying to get through.
They almost didn't make it, just like
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah, so I don't know. Ghana.
They did what they had to do when they were supposed to, but
Macedonia, man. Like,
yeah, but then Italy would have to play Portugal.
I know one of those 2 teams would have made it.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Tough.
But no, then you have Ghana, Uruguay, and even Korea. Like good sides. Can't count them out. So I don't know. Group H toss up for me.
I think it's a toss up as well. Like Portugal, I know that a lot of people they haven't put it together, and we'll see what they do up front. Like, does Ronaldo start?
Of course, he starts. Phil, get the hell out of
You're
here.
like, I don't know. They have a lot
Unless
of
Ten Hag just took over Portugal.
They have a lot of good attackers. Like, do you start Leao, who was Serie A MVP last year, one of the most explosive wingers? Do you play Andre Silva or João Felix? Like, I can see Ronaldo starting,
Yeah.
but does he deserve the start? I guess so. He's Ronaldo. Like, he's the captain of the team. But they have a good team of individuals. Can they put it together?
I think of all the teams that we talked about, this midfield core is actually pretty nice, I think.
Oh yeah.
Having Bruno Fernandes and Bernardo Silva together, plus Ruben Neves from Wolves, like that's a pretty solid core to have. I'm sure all three these
João
guys
Mario
will play.
from Benfica, he's on fire.
Yeah. And even look at the defense. You got Ruben Diaz and you have Cancelo there. Just
Who's a wild card.
Pepe's still there too, 38 years old, I think. 37 years old.
yeah.
Going strong.
You have Dallo there. Like they're really good side. Like if they could just come together and play as a team, they're really good. It's just they have to do that.
And yeah, we said before that they are European champions from the past, so they can get it done. It's just can they get it done, right? Ghana, I'm not too familiar with a lot of these players here. I mean, the Ayew brothers are
Ayus,
still
yeah.
here. Which is pretty funny.
Yeah, the Ayus.
I feel like they've been around forever. But, I mean, we've seen them before in the past. Like 2006, they put on a hell of a show.
That was awesome.
in
2010,
and 2010, yep.
the rematch with Uruguay after the
handball.
the quarterfinal. They finally get to
It's a piece of
try
shit
and
still there.
avenge that. Yeah, but it's probably one of the greatest plays in World Cup history.
It is.
Like, I saw someone on Twitter say this is the biggest robbery ever. I'm like, he got the red card.
Yeah, he paid
Like,
the
And
Yeah,
he came,
yeah.
price.
and he
got
came
missed.
back, though, too. Like, he was able to come back for the next game. Not next game, but like whenever his like suspension was done, he came back. Like,
Yeah.
he's-
So they
it
would have had
lasted.
to make the final, though. They ended up losing.
No, I
in
think
the
I think he
semis.
played. I think he played in the semis or something.
No, he's suspended for that. He got a red card. What are you thinking here? But I don't think it was the biggest robbery. I think it was just the best tactical foul
Yeah,
in the history.
yeah.
Not a big fan of that guy, though.
The bite.
Not a big fan.
He's hungry. Is
Honestly-
he hungry for goals this year for this World Cup? Is he going to bite into this World Cup and,
Honestly, for me, Luis Suarez is actually the person that's done the most controversial things that I actually like.
he's so good.
I just like him as a player. And
Pure
I just,
goal
I-
scorer,
and
amazing.
he works hard, which is great. Because usually for me, when you have players that are doing like a bunch of really questionable things, I feel like the work ethic for some reason like is paired with that. But he just works so hard and he's really good. It's just if he just didn't do all the other things that just make no sense, like bite people and all this stuff, like
Like bite people.
he'd be one of my favorite players. But he just does all this controversial stuff. I don't know why. But other than that, which is a big hurdle to get over, I think he's phenomenal.
It's happened on multiple occasions.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a multiple time biter.
yeah.
But no, he's good, man. His Liverpool days were
Yeah.
historic. Like,
His
those are so
Barcelona
crazy.
days were
Yeah.
Obviously
almost
that too,
historic,
but I was just saying, like the run that he had in Liverpool, I think he's almost a goal a game player or close to.
Mhm.
And
I
he
think
was only there
Uruguay
for
gets
3 or
out
4
of this
seasons.
group, though. I think they do.
I think based on talent alone, yeah, they
Yeah.
have a lot
And the way they
better
play.
pieces. I think Korea might. I mean, they obviously are going to run the coattails of Son, like, and how he has performed in the last couple of seasons with Tottenham. Obviously, he's obviously their breadwinner
And
player.
They do have one of the best informed defenders, Kim Min-jae for Napoli. He was just like a signing, and everyone's like, oh yeah, okay, good center back depth. This guy is like a wall back there.
Yeah.
And he showed it in the Champions League. He showed it in Serie A so far. So they could surprise.
Mm-hmm.
They
They've
can.
done
Yeah.
it before in their home country.
Yeah.
And it's
A
similar.
little bit of help.
Stop it.
A little bit of help.
Stop
We
it.
could do a whole review on that World Cup.
It's similar
as
to
well.
what I said before about South American sides, like this Korean side too. Here, like a lot of guys play domestically, obviously too. So they're gonna have a cohesive team, and I mean, again, it all just based on what you do showing up that day. Like we said before on the podcast, when Chelsea won the Champions League, they were not the best team to win in Europe. They just caught fire at the right time. They were really tight defensively, and they ended up winning a game 1-0 in the final. That's all they had to do. So
Euros,
any team
that
can,
group
yeah.
of it, like who thought that they were going to come together and play like a club team for 7 games?
Any team
You
can
know,
just
like,
adopt
just
a chemistry or a playing style, and all you have to do is get three games in the groups, and then 4 knockout games, 7 games total.
Round of 16, quarters, semis. Yeah, so 7 games. You got to win 7 games.
You have 7 games. You don't have to win them all, to be honest. You win a couple of them at the beginning, but after that, you got to win 4 straight, obviously. But if you just catch fire at the right time, like I said, get good odds, get good pairings in the next rounds, and the knockouts.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's gonna all pan out in a few weeks' time. But it could literally be anyone's tournament, to be honest. Like, it's the World Cup. It's not the European Cup. The European Cup is very hard to win, obviously, because it's all domestic and all European teams.
It's one of the harder.
I feel like Euro might be a little bit harder. World Cup, it could be anybody. It could be it could be Qatar. Who knows? It could be Ecuador.
They could make the quarterfinals, Qatar.
Possible, with a little help from their friends. I think we'll do some other podcast episodes during the World Cup. Like I said, do we want to do predictions?
I was just going to say one last thing. Surprise of the tournament.
Surprise for me, I think.
What consists of a surprise?
Player or team that surprises you. Maybe like a lesser known, or maybe an upset could be a surprise, or someone, I guess a breakout would be in its own category, but like a player breakout would be in its own category. But let's say a team, like, so a lesser known that might go further than you expected.
I mean, it's not lesser known, but first thing that hops out to me is Uruguay. I think making it farther than I think what people are going to expect in this World Cup. Maybe making like semi-final appearance, getting that far. Don't think they can make the final, but maybe last 4, I think.
I don't know. To be honestly, I think France is going to do worse than a lot of people expect, just because their their injury list is huge. And you look at their team and you look at their midfield core, it's like, they don't have a lot of. They can't. They don't.
No bodies there.
No Conte, no Pogba. There's a lot of people not going. So, that's the nature of injuries. Yeah. I don't know. Still just banking on Canada, hopefully.
That's your dark horse.
Yeah.
Kind of like what Santos said. Not like a surprise team where it's out of the blue, or country. It's out of the blue, but just because it's been a little while since they've been there, I think maybe Spain might have a pretty good tournament. Yeah. Like we kind of said before, they just have depth, and their young players that are in form are like really good right now. And coming off of what they did in the Euros and how far they got, they got to semifinal there, I believe. I think they can kind of ride that and say, like, we're back maybe on the main stage, because they were so dominant from the 2010s up until Germany kind of had their little resurgence. I think they won in 08 and 2010, I believe.
And 12.
And 12, yeah. So they were just tearing shit up. So I think maybe with an aging core that's going to make their last hurrah, and they're going to like fight really hard, plus the new young guys coming in, I think they have a good balance, and I think they might perform pretty good. I'm not sure what their odds are right now, actually. Maybe good to look at, but
I think they're 9-1.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe Spain for me might be a team that could surprise some people.
I'm gonna go with Denmark.
That's a good one too. I like that.
And then maybe the Netherlands, which we haven't talked about, and I don't think a lot of people are talking about.
Yeah, them being there in Group A,
I just don't know
the
how
favorite.
like just the groupings after, like the bracket
where they get matched up.
Yeah.
But they're
Denmark,
the favorite for Group A for sure.
And the Netherlands and the USA.
Ooh,
three
one
surprises.
USA.
Yeah, every third place team in the group is a surprise. Yeah, we're gonna go with Mexico next. No.
Bill's bound to get at least one right.
At least one of those has to be right.
That's hilarious. We didn't really say anything on Netherlands. Group A: Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, Netherlands being
I
on
think
the
just
European
because there's no
side.
clear favorite. I guess the Netherlands would
Yeah, I
be
think
the
they're
clear
the
favorite,
clear
but I don't see Qatar getting out of the group. I haven't watched a lot of Qatar, but you do with hosts, I guess.
Little
Anything
added
can
boost.
happen with the hosts. So Netherlands, Senegal probably making it through,
Yeah.
but can't count out the South American teams.
Yep.
Yeah, they fight hard. They always do. Okay, yeah. So I think we're good for our big World Cup preview. Like I said before, I'm not sure how often we'll do it. Maybe just once a week. We'll do a bit of a recap and just see if any big news is happening, any upsets. We'll see if Qatar goes through. See if Phil's USA goes through and see what they can do in their first game. But like I said, November the 21st, England, Iran, and November the 23rd, Canada versus Belgium are the first times you will see these two countries play. I keep saying clubs. But yeah, no, we'll definitely check in throughout the World Cup. And yeah,
We won't talk about Italy as much,
we won't talk about it.
or maybe we will because we can just relate it back.
The references
Yeah.
are too easy,
Yeah.
It's too
but
easy.
they're also painful.
yeah.
Okay, so I think if that's it, we will chat next week.
Yeah. I think we're good.
Chat then.
Ciao.